Disclaimer. The following video is a review of a ship that is indeed a work in progress and does not represent the finished state of the ship in the Star Citizen game. Now, let us proceed with the review. As soon as we figure out how to get on the damn ship. Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, this is Ship Updates, and this is a very special show because this is the first look ever at the interior of the Hammerhead by myself. This is video footage of me on the PTU, and this is the first time I was actually able to get into the Hammerhead. Now, the first time I called up the Hammerhead, I of course appeared at the landing pad, and I spent the entire cycle time of them actually recalling it back into storage because I hadn't gotten into it, trying to figure out how to actually get into the ship. Now you might wonder, well, how did that happen? Well, it turns out that having switches on the outside of the ship or buttons that you could push to open doors wasn't really immersive. It was kind of artificial. You actually have to click on the empty space under the door. You have to click on the nothing that's there to make the door appear. I didn't know that. It's for immersion reasons, obviously, and so it's something that they're working on. And you know, this is the PTU. It is a work in progress. So eventually, I guess all the doors will use this effect. You will click on the empty space rather than the control panels, which I assume will all eventually be removed. And this is, of course, the engineering deck in the interior of the Hammerhead. But I am rushing up to the bridge right now so that I can take off and avoid getting the ship placed back into storage while trying to make the video. So I figure we'll go up here, go to the bridge, and there's no bridge. Okay, well, the bridge is lower down. We know that the bridge is lower down. This is in that kind of like Hammerhead, that crossbar. That's the docking port out the front of the ship. So we're looking for, oh wait, maybe no, that's one of the side doors to the ship, and we're looking. I mean, is this like a little mini elevator thing? Where is it? Oh, okay, here it is, here it is, here it is. Okay, so clearly there's an elevator, or not. I guess the elevator is missing, and that's something that you're going to see me puzzling over quite a lot, is where is the elevator? Is the elevator missing? Is the ship unfinished? Of course, you know, it's not a ship in a finished state, but I'm really perturbed by that. I'm like, so what, do I just use this little shitty ladder on the side to get in and out of the bridge? Because that doesn't really make a lot of sense. But of course, this is me just loading into the PTU, and I'm just trying to figure out where all the switches to activate the ship, get it turned on, get it moving. No, that's exit. All right. No, that's the co-pilot seat. Anything here? Anything here? No. Okay. Wait. Maybe. Oh, there we are. There we are. There we are. Okay. Okay. It's all the buttons and switches to operate the ship are off screen. Okay. All right. Now I understand. Okay. Okay. So here we go. We're taking off. It's the PTU. We're taking off. No. We're taking off. Give it a little forward thrust. Okay. Little up angle. Maybe. Okay. We're taking off. We're doing it. Let's get an exterior shot. Let's make it look pretty. It's the first flight of the Hammerhead. It's elegant and graceful in its departure. Such a wonderful starship. So, in all honesty, it was problematic. In the beginning, it was challenging to kind of, get this thing going. I found that the front windows seemed a little bit more constrictive than in the videos that we had previously been shown. So here I am. I've now moved off of Olisar. I'm a ways away from Olisar now, and I kind of wanted to at first kind of give a proper tour of the ship because I was just rushing on to get out. And so now I'm trying to figure out where the elevator switch is, right? That bar, that vertical bar there and this empty space in the floor kind of tells me that there's an elevator here, but I can't for the life of me figure out where the switch is to activate it. And I mean, it kind of like, you get to the point where you're using the ladder, and as soon as you get up and off the ladder and you turn around, you're basically falling right back down in the pit. So, TBH, some work to be done there. Am I keen on the idea of an elevator in the first place? No, not really. I was kind of like, why not stairs? Stairs. Just stairs don't break your flow of motion. They don't, they allow you to just keep moving. They help you flow through an environment when you got to change levels, and it works. And you might say, well, there's no space on the ship for stairs and stuff like that. I would heartily argue that there is a great big open space right in the middle of the ship where you could have created some form of junction that allows you to transition to different levels and areas of the ship. And that, the constant use of elevators all over the place, of course, in something like the Reclaimer that is that big, it's, it makes a lot more sense when you have that many levels to navigate. But for a ship like this, I just feel that there just could have been stairs. Just a simple staircase that kind of reverses on itself, something like that. Or, it's just the way it was built. I don't know. I'll wait and see until the elevator shows up, because obviously there's supposed to be one there. And throughout the ship, you're going to find me running into places where I figure out that there's supposed to be elevators, but they're not there. Of course, there's that large open space. The rest of the ship artistically is fantastic. It's great. That's another spot actually where there's supposed to be an elevator to go up. Clearly not there yet. Hopefully by the time this gets out to all of you guys and it gets off the PTU and onto live, you guys will be able to see it. Here's the captain's quarters. But yeah, the artistry in the ship is fantastic. The detail work, everything, the environment, the set dressing, whatever you want to call it, is top notch. This to me represents a more believable space than the interiors and ships that we've seen before. I enjoyed navigating around through it, though. Once again, you do kind of come up against that FPS level problem, which a lot of these ships, they do have that FPS level kind of interior design to them, which to me has, in my opinion, has always been kind of a dumb idea, because it's not like all the time that you're operating this ship, you're going to have a running gunfight on board your ship. So why are we designing ships around something that might occur? Like, let's be realistic. How often do you expect to have a running gun battle on your ship, and you want to have an interior that makes that running gun battle more interesting? Probably like 1% or less is what you're aiming for. And so why are we designing the interiors of the ship around that option? I don't know. To me, that kind of sounds kind of foolish and just a waste. I would be more interested in the day in, day out operation of that ship and making the interior much more efficient and flowing. And overall, the central corridor system of the ship is actually really good for that. And that's one of the things that I wanted to say as a counterpoint to that, is that central corridor system is pretty damn good. And it flows very beautifully. It's almost like the central catwalk down the front of the Caterpillar. It allows you to move through the ship very easily and to access different sections even if your cargo holds are full. That's a nice feature, but there are parts of the ship where you can really see that FPS level design, and it's my opinion. It's my opinion, but it strikes me as stupid. Now, the turrets, I was just kind of listening to them, shooting them, seeing what it looked like on the ship, but combat testing, have not done that yet. Hopefully over the weekend I'll get some of that in. But also from the pilot station, can't operate any of the turrets remotely. I tried. I was clicking the fire button when I was originally flying out here. Doesn't work. Now, as you kind of come back here to the back of the ship, you know, this is going out to the further back gun, you know, gun turrets on either side of the ship. And there's the escape pods. And I was kind of trying to figure out where everything was. Here's an engineering station. And I guess maybe there's a shield generator parked back there or something like that. Now, some people might kind of sit there and say, oh, well, it's weird that there's an engineering station, not an engineering. There, in fact, is an engineering station in engineering. Let me just quickly fast forward to that. So here we are. We're navigating into the tail. This is, of course, the large cargo area / elevator in the back. And if you go through here, once again, obviously, another missing elevator. There's a little, I guess, emergency staircase there. You hop up that. Ladder. And there is the main engineering station. And there's also another one that's sitting off to the side. Now we're heading off here to the lunchroom. Lunchroom, great. Of course, this is something that, you know, it required them to have to build the upper level because, and I guess, I don't know, is this food storage or what? I'm not sure. I'm assuming food storage because obviously the galley is here. But I have yet to find an armory on the ship or anything like that, so I'm still searching. This is just my initial run through, and then I take the ship out and I kind of do a little bit of a cargo run with it. Here, of course, is, you know, when I looked up through that little missing elevator before coming to the captain's quarters. Here is the upper level of that. Luckily, I didn't break my legs and, you know, bleed to death and derail the entire presentation.
Did you die?
Now, of course, coming into the captain's quarters, I made a very interesting discovery. Of course, you got your shower, your toilet, and everything. But did you know that when you look in the mirror, you realize all of our characters are in fact space vampires because we don't appear. Our reflections don't appear. So clearly, we're all Nosferatu. We didn't even know that that was a thing in the game. Vampires are in Star Citizen. Holy shit. Why is this, you know, why have we not heard about this before? So fast forwarding along, I've decided to go down to Yella to ArcCorp to pick up a load of cargo to see exactly where the cargo is all stored in the ship and to just kind of take a run through a not so brutal atmosphere. I mean, Daymar was closer to where I was, but Daymar's atmosphere is pretty thick. Yella's is pretty thin, so I figured it was going to be like a comfortable, you know, kind of spot in the middle. And here's the 50-50 of the cockpit. And here's where I want to talk about this a little bit, is when you first get into the chair, into the cockpit, you're sitting a little bit lower down, and then the chair raises you up and it puts you up here where you can not see most of the panels around you. I mean, the panel to your right, the panel to your left are mostly obscured and out of your view. And then you have these panels which are always there in the front, which really don't do anything where they are. So you could lower this seat by about probably a solid foot. And you could vastly improve the view without changing anything other than the animation of where this seat ends up, because it lifts you up and it brings you almost into the ceiling a little bit. And there's a ton of space beneath the chair where you could like suspend that lower and improve the view by 100%. So, you know, just like we did with the Cutlass, this is now a battle that we will be fighting with CIG for the next little while, trying to impress upon them, once again, the idea that pilots need to see where they're flying. But this gives you a good sense of where the horizon is when you're flying this ship, and what it's like to actually fly it and try to land it is it's actually pretty damn good. Trying to land this on the ground. Now, this is something that I've talked about before. This is great. This is fantastic for when you want to land the ship, minus some of the obstructions, but you could really get in. And one of the things I did is I made sure to set my look key to something much more convenient for me. And it works so well that I was using it a lot more than I normally would, just to kind of look around and kind of gain an idea of where I was in the area and where was the best place to put the ship down. So I'm going beyond the landing pad, and I'm kind of going to this large open ground out here, and it really was a joy to fly it and land it. Though obviously this is not a ship that's, you know, this isn't like a drop ship where you would land it on the ground, and so you would need a very good view of the ground because you're designed to land things on the ground, right? Huh, weird. Anyways, the handling of the ship is something that was actually very welcome, something that was really nice. And I think that a lot of it had to do with its size, and to complement that, the power of its thrusters as well, because it felt like earlier ships, like the Reclaimer, certainly I think would be one of those ships, the Caterpillar as well. They were ships that they didn't really handle their weight very well. It was either like you almost always felt like you were either using too little thrust or way too much. It felt like there really wasn't a comfort zone with thrusting the ship around and maneuvering it. And with the Hammerhead, maybe it was because I was being a little bit more gingerly with it, a little bit more careful with it. It felt that it responded better. It responded more completely. It never overdid it, and it never came up short. If that makes sense, I don't know. It'll take more experience, obviously, and a lot more flying of this ship. But again, PTU, everyone has access to every ship, so as soon as you get in, you can fly this and everything else that's flyable in game. It was a joy to fly. Not all that fast on acceleration. I still have to really kind of push the envelope out there, but this was more about just kind of making a run with it and just kind of getting a feel for the ship. And overall, I really enjoyed flying it. I really sincerely enjoyed flying it. The handling was a little bit stiff, but not in a way that that was unwelcome. It never felt like the ship was fighting me. It always felt like it was doing what I wanted it to do, and at a pace that wasn't too slow that it was bugging me, but wasn't so quick that it was like, whoa, stop, slow down, go back, you know, where I was having to overcorrect. So that was all right. Yeah, this thing. Not a fan. Really not a fan. I understand that there's obviously going to be an elevator at some point. Still not a fan. Stairs. Now this is something I wanted to talk about. This whole area here, which I guess there are doors at either end that are going to be implemented at some point that you can seal this off. This opens the ship up right here to the outside. So you're kind of, unless you seal both those doors, and that's a fairly big room there that generally has no other purpose than this. Unless you seal both doors, you've basically blown all the ship's atmosphere, except for any place that's behind a closed door. You've blown all that atmosphere out of the ship. So that layout in that room really doesn't make sense. There should be a door in front of that to kind of, you know, like a door in front of the elevator or something like that, because you're either going to lose a tremendous amount of oxygen out just into space or wherever, or you're going to have to clear out a tremendous volume of, toxic gases or whatever from whatever planet you land on. As a functional element of the ship, it just really doesn't make sense unless you expect people to, live out their lives on the ship always wearing a helmet, including, eating, showering, It kind of didn't make a lot of sense. So I went in, I bought a full load of hydrogen. Actually, there's one of those mission boxes. They're putting them everywhere. So, win-win. We don't have to deal with those animatronic hobgoblins anymore. Cause, yeah, those things are they're creepy. They look like that Johnny Cab from, Total Recall. But anyways, yeah, so I bought a full load of hydrogen. I wanted to see where everything was stored in the ship, if it was indeed going to be in that large rear cargo elevator. Kind of hoping it wasn't. It was going to be stored off to the side, because I didn't really explore engineering all that much, and maybe there was some usable space there where they had put all that stuff. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be right on that elevator, because you kind of want that elevator area kind of open, right? So you can kind of put different things there. And I keep having to look for where the elevators are on the ship, and yeah, I'm just not used to it. Eventually, at some point, I will be, but right now I'm just not used to where everything is, and so I kind of get a little bit lost here, and I'm like, is it that port A? Because the port A there looks too small. Then I remember, oh wait, no, click below it. And then it opens. Just like just a little button. A button that we can push, please. But yeah, so here we are. We're coming back up this elevator, and you'll see what I'm talking about again. This whole room right here. There's a door, I guess, that it hasn't been implemented yet, that goes here. And then there's another door all the way at the end of that hallway. Like, you could close that all off with, an airtight seal, and you could just prevent having to evacuate all this atmosphere to, cycle the airlock. It really doesn't make a lot of sense that those doors wouldn't be, in fact, far closer together, or that there just wouldn't be some type of ceiling door right in front of that elevator. So before you can kind of go out the elevator, the door kind of closes in its place, or whatever, or a force field even. I mean, we know that force fields are a thing, so why not have something like that to prevent you from exhausting, all that atmosphere and wasting all that, internal work. Now, hopefully, like, these doors are obviously missing, because I went looking for them, trying to see where they would be in the ship. I'm hoping that a lot more of this, when you guys get your hands on it, is going to be implemented, and that there aren't going to be, these kind of like dead things. Actually, here's the access to the top turret. But yeah, all these doorways, I'm guessing they're going to be implemented, but they aren't. And unfortunately, yeah, the cargo is stored on the elevators. So let's say if you put like a small vehicle on there, or a couple of bikes or whatever, your cargo capacity is effectively killed. So that was unfortunate. I wasn't too happy about that. I mean, there's an awful lot of space on this ship that is kind of used up for set dressing and things like that. And there's that big, wide, empty gap right in the middle of the ship that needn't be there. Then you just put a roof, a floor, and a door, and an elevator, and that could solve so many space issues on the ship. I don't know that with all the changes they made, even putting the lunchroom up top, nobody ever came back and said, why don't we just close in that central area and just say, hey, you know what? Kind of felt like a cool visual idea, but it really just didn't make sense for the ship. Let's open it up, give it a few more options. It kind of feels like a big dumb move, to be honest. Moving on. So here we are. We're about to take off, right? And this is where I want to talk about another part of the ship, which is the sound design of the ship. Obviously, the cockpit view, don't worry. Yes, I see it. and we'll get into that in future videos, I promise you that. But the sound design inside the ship, now initially up front, it's amazing. It's awesome. Like you can almost feel the thrusters through the hull of the ship. That's the way it is. It's like and all this stuff like that, and you're just like, wow, this is really cool. And I wish I had a better sound system, or you turn on the rumble function on your headphones and all of a sudden they're shaking a little bit as the thrusters are going off, and you're like, wow, that's really cool up front, that's really awesome. But then you fly the ship, and you fly the ship for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you realize that these thrusters are constantly going off, because remember, this ship is constantly making little adjustments. So all of a sudden you're like, this is constant while you're flying the ship, and it goes from up front being like, wow, that sounds really cool, to wow, that's super annoying, Don't believe me? I'm going to return the volume of the game to normal, and we'll keep an eye on the controls. Notice I'm not afterburning, I'm not thrusting in any other direction, I'm just trying to slowly ascend at SCM speed out of the atmosphere. Listen to this. You see what I mean? I mean, I turned on the afterburner a little bit there at the end, but you saw how I go in and I literally deliberately like cranked the sound effects volume down, just because it kills you. It just kills you, because it's like this constant while you're operating the ship. And I know that they were talking up these new sounds, but now I'm kind of like looking at it and thinking, oh geez, like, can we get a feature that like disables ship thrusters, just the sounds of them? Something that minimizes it. Like, I'm all for like the immersive sound effects that let you know you're on a spaceship, but I mean, maybe something more like the bridge sounds on the USS Enterprise or something. I don't know, because this constant like micro adjustment of the thrusters just murders me, dude. It really has kind of gotten to the point where it's, I don't know, maybe it's just the sound effect, but it, because I never really noticed it all that much with the old sound effects with the Cutlass and stuff like that and the other fighters, but with this ship, whoa, it's brutal. I don't even think it was like this on the Reclaimer. I don't think the Reclaimer was even like this. The Reclaimer was more of like a distant kind of like a roar or a whoosh sound that wasn't that bad, whereas this is like, it's like someone operating a power tool like right next door, and you're just kind of getting the muffled sound through the wall. And Yikers. But anyways, obviously, much more time to be spent flying this ship in the game. Much more stuff to see and do. I would like to leave off from by saying that I realize that I've kind of pointed out some of the things that I don't like about this ship. Do I overall think that artistically it's a bad job? Artistically, no. It's fantastic. It is fantastic work, and it is a great ship. 100%. The real qualms I would think are architectural and the sound effects. The sound effects are killing my soul.
Initiating ship storage procedure. For your safety, please vacate the area.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.